Welcome back. I'm Matt Shatskin for Warrior Logistician, and today I'd like to talk to you about one of my favorite assignments in the U.S. Army, and that was working as an observer controller, and now they call it trainer, at the Joint Readiness Training Center in Fort Polk, Louisiana. Now, before you turn off this video and say, well, I'm not interested in ever being an observer controller, or I used to be one and so I already know what the experience is like, or something like that, I would encourage you to keep it on so that you can learn more about the experience if you haven't had it, and even if you're not interested in it, you can learn what you don't like about it and how you don't think it's valuable. And maybe you might learn something so that you could encourage and mentor others who might be excited about the experience or interested in it. So let me tell you about the 5 reasons why I like this assignment the most. Number 1, the visualization. So the Joint Readiness Training Center and being an observer controller involves watching units, brigade combat teams, come through the exercise for about 2 weeks at a time, an 11-day exercise, roughly about 22 rotations we did while I was there within a 2-year time frame. So a lot of time out watching units, and so that's where the visualization really happens. Seeing units outside just normal day-to-day activities, doing early entry operations, and all sorts of enablers and other systems on the battlefield, really getting that full picture of what things will look like during an early entry situation, which is what I continued to do throughout my career and really provided a baseline of experience within that specialty area as a logistician that I was interested in. Number 2 is the immersion factor. So what I mean here, it's kind of like learning a language. When you learn a language, it's one thing to learn it in the classroom and speak it with other people, but to truly learn a language, from what I understand, you have to go to the country in which the language was developed and was born, so that you walk, talk, drink, eat, and most importantly, think in that language. And that's what being an observer controller is like. You are immersed in the environment. You have to know doctrinal procedures, but at the same time, you get to see those procedures employed by real people with real problems and real units with real challenges. And so you get to see where doctrine doesn't always get us through the day in its answers. And that is just fascinating to me. If you want to learn operations at the tactical level, granted, there's more things in life than the brigade combat team, but a time at the training center, any of the training centers, gets you that immersion in the topic, so you can really see where things work and where they begin to break down. The third point was the people. The people there were phenomenal. Not just the people that I worked with, but the friends that I developed, and not just within the logistics community, but across the spectrum. Really, most people I encountered, there's always a few, but most I encountered and got to work with were the ultimate professionals, the ultimate subject matter experts within their field. And this was rank immaterial. I learned so much from everybody, and it was so rewarding to work with those people. The time you spent together within that immersion environment really was one of the best times in the Army. I often feel that if you really want to know people, get out into the woods, into the field, where things are a little bit rougher and working hours aren't as fixed as they may be back in a garrison sort of environment. And that's when you'll really begin to know people and develop bonds with them, and really continue to be impressed by them. There's times at 2 o'clock in the morning where something needed to happen, and usually some of those people, there was someone awake available to give you a status on something, or more importantly, to get out of their vehicle and go do something about that. The fourth area was fun, and this isn't always why we choose an assignment, and so that's why I talk it a little bit later in the order. And some of these things may not be fun to you, and I understand that, and that's certainly okay. But for me, it was fun to get out and do these things that I always joined the Army for, and that was be with units, be out in an operational environment. We got to drive our own vehicles, so that was new to me, and we got to drive them at night. So driving them with night vision was something new to me and was fun. And we got to jump out of planes a lot. It wasn't required, but because it was there and I was interested in it, I had some friends who were very interested in it, I jumped a lot of times in 2 years, and that was a great time. It was a great time in my life, it was a great time in my career, and it was just a good time to do those sorts of things with friends. And so many other aspects of the job that were a lot of fun. It was fun hanging out with professionals and talking about our craft all the time. It was fun being around folks that were passionate about being logisticians and providing logistics within the context and the operational environment that we do. The fifth point was transfer and transferability. And so what I mean there was the skills that I developed within those 2 years, the experiences I encountered, I feel really helped me within the second half of my career. Specifically in being a battalion commander later on in life and having to do these operations. Now, observing and coaching people on operations is much different than actually doing them. And I'm not saying that I was the best or even very good at doing them. I am saying that the experience really helped me towards doing them. And so that is in understanding operations and how they work, developing support plans, learning how to integrate them with the higher level plan. And then finally, in terms of transferability, was my profession and career and aspirations as an educator. Because one of the things we had to do as observer controllers were to facilitate after action reviews, which is to get the rotational unit to reflect on their experience and to think about areas that they should consider towards doing the operation next time, whether it would be to exploit strengths or even work on some things that they weren't doing so well. And facilitating is an art. It takes practice. And not that I perfected it there or even later, but it certainly got me on the road to the difference between facilitating discussion and dialogue versus lecturing. So that's it. 5 areas in which I truly enjoyed being an observer controller trainer at the Joint Readiness Training Center. The training center is one of 3 training centers active duty within the Army. There's the National Training Center and there's the CMTC out in Germany. And it's not the only job there is out there. It's one that I enjoyed the most. So I would encourage you to share the job that you enjoyed the most and how it was valuable, really not necessarily as a counter to this video, but as a complement to this video, so that we can continue to share knowledge and prepare ourselves towards the future, both with our own aspirations and our ability to mentor and coach others. We'll see you next time.